Welcome back to Fledgling Eagle. Today we're uncovering the untold struggles of North Korea's female soldiers. From harsh military service to daily hardships, their reality is shocking. Stay tuned as we reveal 8 shocking truths about North Korea's female soldiers. 1. Female soldiers face discrimination. A glimpse into their world. Did you know that in some parts of the world women are required to serve in the military just like men? As of 2023, countries such as Bolivia, Chad, Mozambique, Norway, North Korea, Myanmar, and Sweden have mandatory conscription for women. But among these nations, North Korea stands out not only for its strict military requirements, but also for its sheer numbers. An astounding 153,000 women serve in its armed forces. To put this into perspective, women make up about 40% of North Korea's military, a percentage that surpasses most nations, including militarized powers like Russia. Since January 2015, North Korean women aged 17 and older have been required to serve in the military for 7 years, a slight reprieve from the previous mandate of 10 years. This is in stark contrast to countries like Vietnam, where military service is voluntary for women, or other nations with far shorter conscription periods, usually around 2 years. In North Korea, however, there are no exceptions. Once drafted, young women are thrust into a life of extreme discipline, long hours, and limited freedom, sacrificing much of their youth to the service of their nation. At first glance, female soldiers standing stoically in their crisp uniforms near barbed wire borders might appear resolute and proud. Yet, beneath this disciplined exterior lies a reality far harsher than the world can imagine. These women endure unimaginable hardships, ranging from grueling physical training to societal discrimination that persists long after their service ends. Their experiences highlight a deeply ingrained culture of sacrifice and gender-based inequality, where women bear the burden of loyalty to their country in ways that often go unnoticed by the outside world. For many of these women, military service is less about patriotism and more about survival. Some see it as a path to steady meals or the slim chance of upward mobility, hoping for roles in government after their service. Unfortunately, these hopes are often dashed, leaving them to grapple with societal biases that paint female veterans as too hardened or unsuitable for marriage. Even as they stand as symbols of national pride, their lives are overshadowed by hardship and the unrelenting demands of their roles. Their stories, rarely told, remind us of the complex lives hidden behind those impassive faces. These women may wear their uniforms with dignity, but their battles go far beyond the front lines. They fight not only for their country, but also for recognition, equality, and a chance at a life free from the chains of discrimination. 2. Harsh realities of military life behind the uniform. The life of a female soldier in North Korea is anything but easy. Take, for example, Lon, a 17-year-old girl who joined the military 3 decades ago, dreaming of a brighter future. For Lon, the promise of 3 meals a day was reason enough to enlist. On her very first day, she was overjoyed to receive a hairdryer, a symbol of modern luxury. However, she quickly discovered that the barracks rarely had electricity, rendering the gift useless. Her daily life was a struggle. Lon shared a cramped room with more than 10 other soldiers. Imagine the heat of bodies packed into tight quarters, the damp air heavy with the smell of sweat. Bathing was a rare luxury because hot water was almost non-existent. Meals were meager, and malnutrition led to numerous health issues. For many women, this included the loss of their menstrual cycles, a symptom of their body's extreme stress and nutrient deficiencies. Despite these grim conditions, many women viewed military service as a stepping stone to a better life. Some joined with hopes of securing a stable future, or even gaining a coveted government position after their service. Yet, for most, these dreams went unfulfilled. Societal prejudices against female soldiers ran deep. Former soldiers were often seen as too intimidating or unsuitable for marriage, leaving many of them single long after their service ended. For these women, their years in the military often meant enduring both physical and emotional battles. The rigid military structure, combined with deeply rooted gender biases, left them struggling not only on the battlefield, but also in their personal lives. Even after shedding their uniforms, they carried the weight of societal discrimination. Three, sexual harassment and abuse. The plight of female soldiers in North Korea is a tragic reflection of unchecked power and systemic abuse. Defectors have shared horrifying accounts of widespread harassment and exploitation, painting a grim picture of life within the military ranks. Senior officers often use their authority to prey on women, forcing unwanted advances that escalate into physical and emotional abuse. For those who fall victim to such violations, the suffering doesn't end there. Society and the military apparatus heap further blame and punishment on them rather than the perpetrators. Women who become pregnant face brutal and life-threatening methods to terminate their pregnancies, as the regime provides no support or safe options. Practices like binding their stomachs tightly or consuming harmful chemicals are not just dangerous but often fatal. For some, desperation leads to even more extreme measures, such as leaping from heights to end pregnancies, acts that result in devastating injuries or death. The testimonies of defectors bring this harsh reality into sharper focus. One woman recounted the horrors of a commanding officer who repeatedly assaulted female soldiers under his charge. Victims are forced into silence, either through direct threats or fear of ostracization, as speaking out can mean being labeled as a troublemaker or losing opportunities for advancement, including the chance to join the ruling party, a critical path for social mobility. This deeply entrenched culture of abuse, combined with a system that silences victims, leaves female soldiers trapped in an oppressive environment. It not only strips them of their dignity, but also perpetuates a cycle of fear and dehumanization. Their stories serve as a haunting reminder of the hidden atrocities that persist behind the curtain of North Korea's tightly controlled propaganda. For malnutrition and hunger. While North Korea maintains the facade of a strong and disciplined military, the reality for its soldiers, especially the rank and file, tells a very different story. Food shortages are so severe that even those serving in the armed forces, theoretically a priority for the regime, suffer from chronic hunger and malnutrition. Soldiers' meals often consist of meager portions of boiled corn or a few potatoes, offering little nutritional value. Protein-rich foods such as meat, fish, or eggs are almost non-existent, leaving many soldiers weak and unable to fulfill their duties effectively. Defectors frequently recount stories of soldiers scrounging for survival, resorting to eating grass, lizards, or even rodents. The situation is especially dire for female soldiers, who endure grueling physical labor, such as hauling heavy sacks of rocks in agricultural fields, all while battling severe undernourishment. A shocking video that leaked from North Korea once showed the heartbreaking sight of emaciated female soldiers struggling to complete backbreaking tasks, an image that paints a stark contrast to the regime's claims of military strength. The World Food Program has reported that daily rations in North Korea are grossly inadequate. Standard meals consist mostly of rice, kimchi, and soy paste, with rare instances of protein-rich foods, such as meat or eggs, being reserved for special occasions like national holidays. This lack of nutrition leaves soldiers not only physically weak, but also vulnerable to illness, creating an endless cycle of suffering and inefficiency within the ranks. The tragic plight of North Korean soldiers underscores the harsh conditions faced by individuals within the regime, exposing a system that prioritizes propaganda and control over the basic well-being of its people. Five, the controversial pleasure squad, beauty bound by chains. Among the many troubling facets of North Korea's authoritarian regime is the existence of the infamous pleasure squad or Gippeumjo. This secretive group consists of young women handpicked for their beauty, poise, and unquestioning obedience to serve the country's elite. The squad is divided into three main categories: sexual services, massage, and entertainment. Each member undergoes extensive training in music, dance, and etiquette to meet the expectations of their powerful patrons. To outsiders, these women might appear to lead lives of relative privilege, shielded from the grueling conditions faced by regular soldiers. They reside in better accommodations, wear finer clothing, and are provided with access to amenities that the average North Korean could only dream of. However, this apparent luxury is a facade. Their freedoms are severely curtailed. They live in isolation, constantly monitored to ensure absolute secrecy and compliance. Their roles, which should never have existed, expose the darker realities of exploitation and objectification entrenched in North Korean society. Life in the pleasure squad is not a dream, but a gilded cage. Once their term of service ends, many of these women are married off to high-ranking officials, ensuring their silence and further entwining them in the regime's control. For others, their time in the squad becomes a stain on their reputation, as they are cast out into a society that marginalizes them for circumstances beyond their control. Six, difficult living conditions, a daily struggle for survival. The harsh realities of life for North Korean female soldiers extend far beyond the battlefield. Their day-to-day existence is marked by overcrowding, discomfort, and a constant battle against the elements. Most soldiers live in bare, cold concrete barracks, with as many as 20 people crammed into a single room. Privacy is non-existent. The beds are simple wooden bunks with mattresses stuffed with straw, a crude attempt at comfort. Over time, these mattresses become damp and grimy, emitting odors of sweat and mildew that linger in the air, making rest difficult. Hygiene is another constant challenge. Bathing is a communal affair, often done in open spaces where soldiers must draw water from wells, even during the brutal winter months. Freezing temperatures and biting winds make these moments a test of endurance rather than a relief. The military provides only one summer uniform every 2 years, and a winter uniform every 3 years. These limited resources force soldiers to wear the same clothing for years, resulting in torn, faded, and unhygienic attire. Food and nutrition add to the struggle. Meals are basic and insufficient, leaving many soldiers malnourished and weak. Some resort to collecting wild plants or trading goods to supplement their diet. For female soldiers, these hardships are compounded by societal expectations and gender biases, which often limit their roles and opportunities, even within the military structure. Despite these conditions, female soldiers are expected to maintain discipline and resilience. The unyielding nature of their circumstances is a testament to the human spirit's capacity to endure, but it also highlights the urgent need for change and humanity in a system that disregards basic dignity. Seven, the price of military service. Serving in the North Korean military demands sacrifices that go beyond personal freedom. For many, the price is their physical health, emotional well-being, and financial security, all of which are pushed to the brink in service of the regime. Despite the common perception of free healthcare in socialist states, North Korean soldiers are charged for medical treatments at military hospitals. Even when they can pay, the care they receive is alarmingly inadequate, often limited to basic antiseptics, untrained care, and painkillers that barely address the root of their ailments. For soldiers suffering from severe injuries or chronic illnesses, the situation is bleak. Without access to proper medical care, many are discharged from service with no compensation, leaving their families to bear the brunt of the financial and emotional burden. In the most tragic cases, families receive only a death certificate, an official acknowledgement of loss, but devoid of support or reparation. These stories reveal a stark reality. The regime views its soldiers as disposable, prioritizing the demands of the state over the well-being of its people. The toll of military service is perhaps most visible in the soldier's health. Grueling training regimens and nutrient-deficient diets lead to long-term consequences, particularly for female soldiers. Many women lose their menstrual cycles for years due to malnutrition and extreme physical exertion, a grim indicator of their body's struggle to cope. Until 2015, female soldiers had to make do with makeshift sanitary products crafted from medical bandages, which they washed and reused in secrecy. This practice, both degrading and unsanitary, underscores the severe lack of resources available even to those tasked with defending the nation. Beyond the physical scars, the emotional weight of military service lingers long after the uniform is shed. Female soldiers endure not only the hardships of their service, but also the societal stigma that follows. They are often seen as unfeminine or too tough by potential partners, further isolating them in a society that demands compliance to rigid gender roles. The story of these soldiers is one of endurance, resilience, and untold suffering. Behind the facade of military discipline lies a system that strips individuals of their dignity and health, leaving them to bear the consequences alone. The sacrifices demanded by North Korea's military are a sobering reminder of the heavy cost of loyalty in a regime that places so little value on human life. '8. The bond between North Korea and Vietnam. The bond between North Korea and Vietnam, forged during the tumultuous years of the Vietnam War, is a unique chapter in the histories of both nations. North Korea sent pilots to fight alongside Vietnamese forces, showcasing solidarity against a common enemy. Among these brave aviators, 14 lost their lives in combat. They were buried in Bac Giang, Vietnam, and their graves became a poignant symbol of sacrifice and camaraderie. In 2004, the remains of these fallen pilots were repatriated to North Korea, but a memorial was erected at the original burial site in their honor. This gesture reflects the enduring respect and friendship between the two nations. Vietnamese locals played a crucial role in maintaining these graves, adhering to North Korean burial customs, such as using red carp during memorial ceremonies. Although the graves are now empty, they remain a significant site of remembrance, symbolizing the shared struggles and unity between North Korea and Vietnam. The continued upkeep of the memorial stands as a testament to the deep historical ties that bind these two countries, highlighting moments of cooperation and mutual respect amid the complexities of international politics. Which truth surprised you the most? And that wraps up our journey through the 8 shocking realities faced by North Korea's female soldiers. From the unimaginable hardships to the lesser-known historical bonds, these truths offer a rare glimpse into a hidden world. So which of these revelations shocked you the most? Was it the harrowing stories of abuse, the severe hunger and malnutrition, or the unexpected ties with Vietnam? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, and ring the notification bell so you won't miss out on more fascinating stories and insights from Fledgling Eagle. Thank you for joining us on this eye-opening journey, and we'll see you in the next video. Take care, and goodbye for now.